Welcome everyone to this presentation on mental health. The specific learning objectives for today's class are: at the end of watching this presentation and doing the given exercises, you will be able to define mental health and also list the factors contributing to mental health. You will be able to identify the role of mental health in physical health. You will be able to list the differences between psychology and psychiatry. You will also be able to describe briefly the need for basic knowledge of mental health to an Indian medical graduate. You will learn to list the components and strategies of National Mental Health Program also. Now let's look at the definition of the mind or the psyche. According to World Health Organization, the mental health is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities. The individual can cope with the normal stresses of life. The individual can work productively and fruitfully. And also, the individual will be able to make a contribution to his or her community. So, there are 4 components to it. I have listed them separately. And we should understand that mental health is a state of well being. And in that well being, these are the things a person would be able to do. A person with mental health would be able to do. What is the mind or psyche understood to be? What is mind in your understanding? Write down your ideas. Stop this presentation for a while. Take your pen and paper and write down what you think is the mind. When you have finished writing, restart this presentation and go on to the next slide. Many of you may have written the definition of the mind in many ways, but let's see what the dictionary says or what we generally understand. If you're talking about the mind as a verb, it means, if you're talking about the mind as a noun or verb, it means differently. Now it has different meanings. As noun, the meaning is, it is the element or part or substance or process that reasons, thinks, feels, perceives, judges, etc. in us. There are more meanings given. You may refer to the dictionary.com for that. Now let's see, what does it mean if it is a verb. If it is a verb, it means, like when you say mind your business or never mind, etc. It means pay attention to, maybe obey, maybe take notice of something, maybe take care of something, or be careful, or be concerned, etc. So as noun and verb, the meanings are different. You can go back and listen again if you want what it means to be a noun. Now, how do the mind develop? Obviously, the mind development is not just once and forever it happens. It's an ongoing process. The mind is not a separate entity different from the body. It goes on. The sensory input part of our nervous system takes in a lot of information. The sight, the hearing, the feel, the touch, everything. And with the lead role of the brain, it processes this information. And our reasoning, thinking, feeling, willing, perceptions, and judgment occur continuously. So it's good to remember at this point that the nervous system ramifies all over the body and organs. So the mind doesn't exist in one single place somewhere in our body. It's actually much bigger than our body, and it cannot be located in any just one part. It's much bigger than that. Now, with this understanding, let's look at mental health once again. It's a state of well being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities. cope with the normal stresses of life, work productively and fruitfully, and able to make a contribution to his or her community. So, this is what we have gone through, just bringing it back for your attention again. Now, here we can see that mental health is about good learning and effective living. There is no end to achieving mental health. Every day is a new opportunity to improve your mental health. So, then, what is mental disease? It is the opposite. So, it could be a state of well being where the individual does not realize his or her own abilities, cannot cope with the normal stresses of life, cannot work productively and fruitfully, and unable to make a contribution to his or her community. So, if you look at mental disease like this is the complement of what we learned as mental health. So, do you get to see that mental ill health is a state experienced briefly by many of us at many or some points in our lives? Are you unhappy to hear that? It may have transiently occurred to many of us in many occasions. But the interesting point is, it gets labeled as a disease or needs treatment only when it restricts or disables normal social functioning of a person. So, one transient experience of feeling incapable or unable to do something may be related to mental ill health, but that's not what we mean here as mental ill health. When it is consistent or continuous and it gets labeled, when it is restricting a person to live normal social life. It occurs in varying degrees of intensity or seriousness. It is not a hard and unchangeable state, is correctable, and the person can live normally. So, it needs treatment when one's normal social functioning is affected or when one is harmful to the society. So, how do we decide whether someone needs treatment for mental ill health? If we understand it like mental ineffectiveness is something which all of us experience transiently or at some point in our life, we'll also be able to understand how even the most difficult kind of mental diseases can be corrected and the person can be empowered or helped to live fairly normal life. So, how do we make a clinical diagnosis of mental disease? There are standard guidelines to identify when someone needs treatment for mental disease. So, we make diagnosis using these guidelines. You will learn the details of the mental pathology and diagnostic methods in your psychiatric classes. I am not going to go into the details. If you learn clinical psychology also, you will get to learn all these things. So, I am just introducing all these concepts to you at this point. So, to recapitulate what we have learned till now, mind and body are inseparable. Mind and body are a state of continuum. It both develops together. Mind develops along with the body. The mind has great influence over the body. So, you reflect on the usage, psychosomatic, that's what it means. The body somatic is affected by the mind, psych. Similarly, the body also has an influence on the mind when we call them somatopsychic diseases. So, as you learn more about diseases, you will understand more details of this. Now, just bringing into your awareness what you have learned in the epidemiology classes, the triad of physical ailments. We will use this triad to understand the mental ailments also. So, here you can see agent, host, and environment. All these different patterns indicate this pattern is for agent, this pattern is for host, this pattern is for environment. We can see there is a central triangle where all the three circles overlap. So this may be the highest degree of disease, and these are all slightly overlapping where you have some illnesses. So this helps us understand the shades of illnesses that we see even in the physical realm. So from this perspective, what may be the factors contributing to mental ailments? In a general way, we can say that there are multiple factors. To be specific, the upbringing and belief systems or the social influences that we have all had is a factor. Our organic biological processes may have some contribution. And the cognitive interpretations or the probabilistic experiences that we make based on our life experience at any point in time. So these three interplay and produce mental ailments. So let's see how it can be understood using an adaptation of the epidemiological triad. Here you can see that instead of agent I have written biological processes, instead of host I have written probability experiences, and instead of environment I have written social canons. So again the different patterns overlap here in this triangle. So like physical illness, mental illness also has a spectrum. When all the three overlap or when all the three situations are favorable for coming together, then an illness is created. So even if you have a biological tendency, you may not become mentally ill. Even if you have mental explanations or probability experiences trying to make you look like sick, you may not become sick. Sorry, let me go back. So also the environment or the social learnings that we had, that alone doesn't make us mentally ill. Now someone who's prone to biological process, if someone and that person has some specific parental or social influence, that may cause mild mental illness. Similarly, someone with a biological predilection gets into the right probability experience may have a mild disease. But if all the three interact, you have a chance of being more ill. Now, these are the different terminologies that we hear in mental health. Psychiatry, psychiatrist; psychology, psychologist; psychotherapy; behavior, behavior therapist; counseling, counselor; neurology, neurologist; perception, neuroception. So neuroception is a new word actually. I have included this because it's a very interesting and upcoming theory. So read about it if you want. You can go and read if you are very interested. Now the differences between psychiatrist and psychologist. Psychologists are talk therapists. They are trained to do that. So that means they do therapy using communication skills. Counseling and psychotherapy are used for treating mental illness by these people. Whereas a psychiatrist is a trained medical doctor who uses medications for mental ailments. So this talk therapy is based on the developmental science and behavioral science, whereas psychiatrist medical chemical treatment is based on some principles of clinical diagnosis groups and chemical environment of the brain, theories on that. In psychology practice or psychotherapy practice, all three levels of prevention are practiced. You know the levels of prevention: first level, second level, third level. Whereas by the psychiatrist, it's mostly second and third level of practice. So first level is more health promotion and prevention, which is not in the psychiatrist practice. But probably the community medicine or the preventive medicine teaches this, and that's why I am teaching you this session on introduction to mental health. The psychotherapist intervenes in the clinical problem through education, so that is health promotion. Counseling is everyday problem solving or second level of problem solving, and psychotherapy may be understood as third level or rehabilitative. Whereas the psychiatrist, medications, and rehabilitation, you have centers or places where very sick people are kept. The psychologists refer for medications if they think it is not manageable with their therapeutic practices. And the psychiatrists ask or request for counseling when they think or when they realize that their patient may be better off with counseling than medications. So it's basically working together. Now, neurology and psychology. Psychology is a study of mind, mostly the function of brain and nervous system. Psychology explains functioning of the mind in an abstract or holistic way. Interpretations of the mind in psychology focus on behavioral manifestations of the person. And psychology makes an effort to explain behavioral problems based on faulty learning or the developmental model. Whereas neurological interventions are used for enhancing this new learning. Now let's look at how neurology is. Neurology is the study of the nervous system. It explains functioning of the brain and nerves in isolation from other systems, unlike psychology explains it in the whole environment or the holistic way. Neurology interpretations focus on physiological manifestations of the nervous system, and neurological explanations of the behavioral problems depend on the understanding of the neural structure and its variations. Neurology demonstrates that neurology can demonstrate that there are neural changes after new learning take place. So as you can see again, there are overlaps in the explanations and interventions between these two branches of science. Read it again for yourself. Stop this video and read it again for yourself if you want to compare. Now coming to National Mental Health Program. India has a National Mental Health Program to attend to the important mental health problems. Please refer to your textbook or search the web for details of this national program, giving the link here. Please click on this link here before and you will get more information. So now, why do physicians need to learn about the mind? Physicians are people who treat body. From all this learning, why do you think so? Write down your reasons. You can stop this presentation for a while, take a break and write down why you think physicians need to learn about the mind. When you have written down your ideas, go on to the next slide. Yes, I guess by now many of you have written down. Check with what I am going to give here now. Check what you have written with what I am going to give you here. Because body and mind are one continuous phenomenon and probability of all ailments of the body have a psychic dimension, the physicians need to know about mental health. Since ailments of the body may affect our mental disposition, physicians knowing this would be able to help and help the mental state of the patients. Also, knowledge of the mental health of people or the principles of mental health of people, physician can make correct diagnosis and determine correct treatment. Since communication and behavioral styles depend on good mental health, learning about mental health would be helpful to develop ourselves into physicians with good communication skills and mental health. And good knowledge about National Mental Health Program will help the Indian medical graduate to give basic mental health care to most persons in their care. You may go back to through this narration once more and understand it well. Now, to summarize our learning today, there are multiple causal factors for mental ailments. All human beings have varying degrees of mental health and mental ill health. Those persons in whom social functioning is affected needs treatment. Treatment for mental ailments may be with medicines, counseling, psychotherapy, or all the three. Basic knowledge in mental health is essential to all physicians. National Mental Health Program addresses the need for basic mental health to all citizens of the country. Thank you. Please give your feedbacks and also raise any clarifications you need. Have a great learning. Bye bye.